This is Eva Clark of Healing Multiple Sclerosis. In our last episode, we looked at how the MS personality can be a problem. And today, we're going to start looking at the three keys, the three areas we need to develop to be able to have more ways of responding to life than just the stress strategies of the MS personality.
Okay, so we looked at last week what goes missing, right? When we use these wonderful strengths all the time, right? When we're kicking ass all the time and being perfect and making great decisions and taking care of everything and everyone and controlling, then we end up not having any time to relax, right? Because you're always on, no time to play, right? And if you're always ignoring your needs because everything else is more important, you never get that amazing feeling of feeling full and satisfied, right? Like a baby, when you feed the baby and the baby's full, that kind of like, I don't want any more. And then they're just like, happy and content. There's actually a feeling of emptiness. That's how a lot of addictions start, is there's a feeling of emptiness and like, I'm not enough. So what can I do to feel better? And then, of course, our decision making becomes all about trying to do it right, trying to do it perfect. So it's all about expectations, right? It's not personalized. Needs met. What's the opposite? Let's just look at what's the flip coin of always treating others as children to care for. What's a flip coin? What's its total opposite? You get to be the child. A little play, a little irresponsibility. And B, you treat absolutely everyone like an adult, like they are perfectly capable of dealing and dealing with their own happiness and figuring out how to be happy and responsible and how many glasses of wine they need. All of that, it becomes theirs. That would be the total opposite. What is the total opposite of I never get my needs met? I don't even know what they are, and I'm totally focused on yours.
Meeting your own needs.
Right? What is the total opposite of deciding according to what is right, what is perfect, or what I think others expect of me? It's like, is there another way? What do you mean there's another way, right? You need to learn to meet your needs fully and satisfactorily. And we're going to see why that's actually necessary to be your best. You've been trying to be your best, do your best, without all your needs being met. And we'll see how that's not possible. And that when you have all your needs met, you just flow. Someone said that. You just flow. Things just happen and you do it well and you actually have fun with it. We're going to be looking at deciding based on how you feel or what you notice. It's like, wow, if I'm about to do that, and interesting, I'll drink pretty much the same thing every morning. And I will notice that after a while, I keep dropping my breakfast. I drop my spoon. I drop the smoothie. It's like if I've dropped something for 2 or 3 times that week, then I notice like, wow, I think my body doesn't want that anymore. So you're going to decide based on noticing rather than based on, but this is the right thing you should eat. This is a smoothie. It's got kale, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, and my arm half the time drops it, or I have it more in my shirt than in my mouth. Or I'm about to eat it and I'm like, all right. And it's about deciding and putting your signature on things. And that third piece we talked about that we're going to look at, treating others like able adults, empowering and letting them be responsible for their emotions and needs versus needing to save them versus seeing them as victims. These are big subjects. That's why we're going to focus on each one of these. Anything that any book, any article, any conversation where you can continue to develop these 3 areas. I have like 4 or 5 books. Anytime I see a book which is called Detoxing from Perfection, How to Be All Right Without Being Perfect. I just got one which is the Courage to Be Disliked. Any kind of books that let you, any kind of books, conversations, training that let you work on these 3, these are your issues. Meet the needs. So I had a couple of just kind of stories so we can see about needs, and then we're going to do an exercise. Several times this has happened. I'm going to kind of conglomerate a whole bunch of different lives all in one. A client has a new job position, and the boss is too busy showing how great he is, and he also just really doesn't know what he's doing, that he really doesn't train my clients, because this has happened quite a few times. Everyone around is busy, everyone's doing their job, and of course, you know, my RMSers, they won't ask for help, and they're trying to do as much as they can. They're ignoring any needs they need to do their job well. And so they're coming with very little tools, very little understanding what the job position is. And a few months later, they learn they have to evaluate their employees, or they have to evaluate their students, or they have to do something, or they should have been doing something for months that no one told them was part of the job position. So now they're starting to freak out. Can you do your best? It doesn't matter how much effort, and all of you here do a ton of effort anytime and with anything. But if you don't have the needs that you need to do this job, the knowledge, the understanding, the outline, the education, all those pieces, doesn't matter how much effort you do, you will not be able to do your best if your needs are not met. Another example, this client, and this has happened in a couple places, there's a lot of stress in the family, and she has to get a job, and there's a economic downturn, and so she gets a job in a grocery store. You know, right now grocery stores are paying $17 an hour, not before, right? $7.25, no vacations, no insurance, no nothing, and they're pushing her. So she's actually a cashier at the grocery store, and she will do 6 to 8 hours, even sometimes 10 hours, and they don't want her to go pee, because if she goes pee, she will close her line in the grocery store. And she doesn't feel that she is worthy to say, you know what, F you, I have to pee. Because what happens when you have to pee? Is that something you can just ignore? You cannot do your best. You cannot be focused. You cannot expect to be 100% there with the clients if you don't have the most basic needs met. So she didn't let anybody know, because it's not okay to have a need. And so it gets to even the most basic needs sometimes, or need to sleep. One of my clients also, just so you see some needs, she has the need for nature. It has come out in a lot of her sessions: nature, animals, connection to, to Gaia, to Earth. And she was a CPA, working with numbers, doing taxes, having to work weekends 4 months a year, no weekend, going to see nature, nothing, because I have to do this, I have to do this. And she was like, okay, 5 more years of this, and then I'll retire. Sooner, and then I'll retire. Maybe when I get enough money, then I'll retire. When I get enough money. And her MS stopped her, because she has a need to be in nature. What do you think nature does for her? It grounds her. It fills her cup, her particular cup. And by her not filling her cup, she was coming from deficiency, right? And then what happens? You don't have everything you need to do your best. You can't focus because your most basic needs are maybe not being met. Your cup is not full. You don't have any reserve. And then in all these cases, you're doing 10 times the effort because you don't have everything you need to be your best. You can't focus because even the most basic, like sleeping, is not quite happening. And then something happens, like you have a family crisis, like your husband is hospitalized, like your brother goes to jail, like your dad gets sick and you have to go travel to where they're at, like someone dies, like there's a marital crisis. And so your cup is empty, and then this happens. That's why filling our needs are so important, because we got to keep that cup full, because things do happen. We're going to do a little exercise. Why is it necessary to meet your core need? Look at the top 6. These are things that are driving you unconsciously to do more, to not stop, to have someone else tell you you're worthy, to feel safe if you make sure everyone else around you is safe. To find one of these, decide which one. Most needs come from, I need to feel safe. And come from, I need to know that I am okay just as I am. You guys are going to ask yourselves these questions. Give 3 to 5 answers. Go through and ask all of these things and just notice where your mind goes, how it feels.
If you've done the exercise, you will have noticed that when you get your need met, you have all these things that we were talking about. You feel playful, creative, free. You actually come from your inner guidance system to decide what you want to do next. You are motivated by curiosity and love. These are some of the words that came out. And when you're not getting your needs met, all those MS stress strategies come out, trying to control everything, trying to make everything right, overdoing it, over-efforting. So visiting these needs, understanding which ones drive you, and starting to work on ways to get them met easily is key. And know that your needs are going to be very different than other people. They're unique. And until they're met completely, satisfactorily, they will keep us away from our potential. They'll actually keep us from doing our best naturally and being in the flow. We need to have them to be fully ourselves and to do our best. When we have unmet needs, even though as a child that was the best strategy for then, now they will dominate your life until you have them handled. So the question is not, do I have needs? The question is, how am I going to meet them? Consciously and directly, or am I going to let them run my life unconsciously? Easily or over-efforting? Meeting your needs is not selfish. When your cup is full to brimming, you are actually naturally and easily available to give and to assist others. Because you're no longer coming from that child that is trying to meet her needs by meeting yours so that you are okay, and then I will be okay. All right, in the next episode, we will start looking at the other 2 areas. For now, get clear on really what you need and start looking at the easiest way to get those needs met. And I will see you in our next episode when we talk about decision making.